Hello and welcome to the Eagle Eye Picker, What's Sold in 2025 Highlights. Not necessarily my highest selling items, although some of them are, but it's also some of the items I thought were more interesting that folks could be on the lookout for that I thought brought a very good price. As you can see, we're going to start out with a banger. It's a 1998 Nintendo 64 Mario Kart Player's Choice. This game, true story, I'm walking in the estate sale. It's the Friday afternoon, first day of the estate sale, late in the day. I open the closet door. It is sitting on a shelf. I pick it up off the shelf, continue walking through the house, and I picked up a few other items. And I have my game and a couple other items. And I asked the gentleman working at the estate sale, how much? He goes, $15. And I foolishly said, will you take 12? And he accepted it. And the rest is history. This is a new, old stock, sealed in cellophane, brand new, unopened. And I did a quick comparison on these on eBay. You can tell ones that are graded you can go in the $3,000 to $4,000 range. Other ones that aren't can be $1,000 or less. This one, I was shocked. I was so happy to find it. It was probably a once in a lifetime kind of find. But I found some little, slight creases on this, where the box might have been, had some weight on it at some point in time. Didn't distract from the shape at all. But I wasn't going to send it off and get it graded. I put it out on eBay. I listed it high for once. I got lots of views. I didn't get any offers. Then finally, I got someone direct message me, kind of asking me what I would take for it. Kind of agreed on an idea range. He said he would make that offer. And I decided, hey, I told him if he made that offer, I would accept it. And here I am, $755 plus priority shipping. I was really happy to sell it. If I could ever find these ever again, I'd be so happy. But always be on the lookout for unopened, sealed. I don't think you're going to find these at many estate sales. But if you do, good for you. And I hope I find some more as well. This next item is kind of unusual. I do a lot of estate sales on weekends, and I find that the older the estate sales, that usually everyone has a sewing machine. Apparently a lot of people sew during the day, and I don't really think it's so common anymore, but I don't really know about that. But here's an old pin cushion. It's an antique Victorian style American sewing box caddy, which means it has a little drawer underneath it. Had these brass rods that held the spools down in there. I think there were 6 of them, and they held 2 or 3 spools. And the drawer had some buttons and other things in it, and at the top was a pin cushion. It had a price of $8 on it. I had never seen one before. I pull out my Google. I do an image search, and I see that there have been some that have sold, different variations of it. Then they got quite good money. They could get $150, some around $75. So I thought, hey, an $8 price tag on it, I'll just give it a shot. It was the first day of the estate sale. There wasn't going to be much negotiation, if any. I got it home. I listed it within, the first week of having it listed. It was bid on, and someone paid $50 for it, plus shipping. So I was very happy. I've never seen one before. I hope I see more of these. And if I do, I absolutely will be picking them up. So keep an eye out for this style. If you see these antique Victorian style pin cushions that hold the spools, I would encourage you to pick those up. Here's an interesting story about this book. It's Bad Times Primer. It is a complete guide to survival, kind of a prepper book, little paperback. There was a huge estate sale, and it actually spanned over multiple weekends. They had tons of books. It was just so much content. The first weekend, I ought to say, was pretty pricey. I think books were $3 to $5 a piece, depending if they were hardback or softback. So I picked up a few things that week and sold them. I think I picked up some bread and butter. I found a digital camera and such, which is great. But I came back the next weekend, and all the low-hanging fruit had been taken. The prices were down really good. I think paperbacks were, $1 and hardbacks maybe $2. At this point, I start going through books. I go and find this one, and something drew me to this particular book. I actually searched through several ones that looked interesting to me. This one stuck out. Sure enough, I saw the eBay sold comps were some up in the $50+ range. I think my corners might have been a little, wider than the other ones that had sold. I put it for $39.99. I got a bid for that price, and as you can see here, I sold it for $39.99. So what I've learned about this is, as I did this research, is these more unusual prepper style books, they are desirable. And I've also learned that a lot of people who are going in and collect books that are scanning the barcodes, they don't really mess with ones that don't have barcodes. They like to move fast. They'll load up the box and they'll be happy with what they've got. Taking the time to do Google searches takes more time, but I think you can run across some very nice, interesting, and rare books, which is what this is. It was a great buy. I was happy to have stumbled across this, and I will always be on the lookout for things like this again. Up next, this was interesting. I actually have 2 items from my favorites from 2025 that I purchased when I purchased this item to show you. I actually have 2 items to show you, this one and another one upcoming, that I got from the same estate sale. I paid $20 for what you see, this lure, as well as there was 5 or 6 other little items in there. What drew me to this lure is, and again, this was day 2. They were clearing out, $20. I probably grabbed, 8 or 10 items, lotted them together. I was happy to pay it. This lure stood out. It wasn't bought. It looked hand painted. It was. Turns out I did a Google search on it. This is a rare signed Bud Stewart Bloody Eye Spoon lure. It was probably 3.5, 4 inches long. It had an eye mounted to it. You flip it over and it was actually signed. So I looked it up, found it was rare. I learned something new. I'll always be on the lookout for these now. And as you can see, it sold for $50 plus shipping. Another item's coming up. I'm way into the profit already on this lot, and you'll see the other item I picked up in just a minute. So always be on the lookout for rare, unusual things. If you haven't seen something before, I think that's the big indicator. You might want to look it up. That's just been my theory. It's paid off. This next item, this is a vintage Bentley butane refill fuel cells, lot of 3. I walked into an estate sale. The guy was obviously a cigarette lighter collector. I found a case of these with a whole bunch of other little things, trinkets and stuff in a box. I just grabbed the whole box because whenever I see new old stock stuff like this, I know it's going to sell well. And I've heard some prices that he was giving out at the estate sale, so I felt safe no matter what he said. I was probably going to be in a good range. He was either going to offer me a good price or it's going to be negotiable. So I did. There was like 20 of these. As you can see, I lotted them up in sets of 3. I sold them for $12 a piece. By the time I sold the second set of these, I was already in the profit. But I'm going to show you later something else that was in that box that was quite a big surprise to me that sold for much more, making this a huge, great deal. So for this, whenever you see what looks like new old stock kind of parts and pieces for lighters or anything like that, grab them all. You'd be surprised how many people, TV vacuum tubes are another perfect example. So make sure you're always on the lookout for new old stock. Here's another item I have great success with. I don't deal in a lot of like newer Bibles, but I know that when you get the leatherback Oxford Bibles made in Cambridge, that they're very desirable and they're very expensive. And what I've noticed is I do grab rarer Bibles, ones that I know are more sought after, and they get bought up very quickly. And the reason for that is, and I've had some of the great messages written from pastors and clergy saying that this was the Bible they had. It's kind of fallen apart because they've used it for so long, and they love to replace the Bibles they love the most with the exact same Bible. So, like I said, I've gotten some great notes thanking me. They're so glad they were able to find this Bible again. So I encourage you to, if you see Bibles, leather bound, gold trim, particularly in the 40s and 50s, I think I've had the most luck with, to pick those up, give them a look at. Check them out on eBay. You might be surprised. This one sold for $42 plus shipping. Great find. I think I probably paid $1 or $2 for it. This is the item I was alluding to when I was showing you those 3 cigarette lighter tanks. This in the box, I go and get it home. I start rifling through the box, not knowing I have anything of great value in there. And this is what is at the bottom of the box. I didn't even know it was there. If I did, I probably would have freaked out because it's a World War I Imperial German Iron Cross, second class ring. The listing, ring if you see at the top is actually has the class stamped into it, which depending on which class it is will determine the rarity of it. I found some in this price range, and so I listed it for $74.99. I think I had an offer within a couple of days, and I was happy to sell this item I didn't even know I had for $74.99. So always keep an eye out for anything that looks like this. Iron crosses, World War I Imperial. Look at those rings on the top. See if they're stamped. It'll tell you what class it's from. And again, great find. Way into the profit on that estate sale bundle. This next item is kind of interesting and unique. I've only seen this one before. A Chrysler Corporation 1958 Master Technician Award. It has the little Chrysler guy and a calendar for desktop, as you can see for the award. I see these often, not the same one you see here, but I see these awards often, and I always do very well with past awards that big major corporations have given out. This one, mostly brass. I don't know why it got left behind. I know the Chrysler guy was a little loose, but it only took tightening the screw on the bottom to get it stable again. So I was happy. So I asked how much it was. Lady just kind of shrugged it off, said, give me $10 for it. I was happy to give her $10 for it. And as you can see, it sold for $112.50. This stuff is very interesting, very collectible. Chrysler collectors, dealers, a lot of people in automotive memorabilia like this kind of stuff. So I'm always on the lookout for these interesting, strange items. The only problem with these interesting, strange items is you don't run across them often enough. This next item, and I alluded to this when I showed you the lure that sold that was hand painted and signed. This was also in the lot I bought there. I think I said I paid $20 for that lot. I'd already made $50 on the lure. This is a 1933 Chicago World's Fair Century of Progress with FDR Roosevelt. I took kind of a risk on this. I did not see any on eBay, for example, where it had any been listed or any had been sold. But I knew that World's Fair stuff is very collectible, that this era, I hadn't found a lot in this era for 1933. It was brass and the wood was like black walnut. It was the size of a trading card. It was absolutely worth the risk. I would do it any time. Turns out I started high at $45. I was happy to sell it for $45 plus shipping. Always be on the lookout for vintage World's Fair stuff. Not all of it. Some of it's mass-produced in later years, but always be on the lookout for vintage World's Fair items. Here's a municipality plate. These things, I tell you, I picked one up, and it sold so fast, I didn't know what was going on. I picked it up because it was a local town near me, and I'd never seen one before, and that one sold incredibly fast. So I ran across this one, and now every one I've run across, municipality plate. I have another one I'll be showing you later. This one from Carrboro in 1971, license plate, city municipality. They sell, people collect license plate. These municipality ones are even in smaller quantities, so they're more in demand for people who really collect things. Beautiful, it's got the town name, loud and proud on it. So I was easy to sell, $60 plus shipping, and you can hold off on these. If you get offers, lowball, don't, $30, $40. Trust me, every one I've done, even though I allow best offers, I will hold off and counter because I know I can get full price for these. So always try to pick up municipality plates. They work in my geography anyway, so hopefully you'll have luck with them in yours too. This next item, yes, it's just a fishing lure, and you may wonder why I have it in my highlights. It's a highlight because it's an individual lure, and I picked up a tackle box that probably had 250 lures in it. And I went through it and I pulled out ones like this that sold for $29, some more, some less. But I paid $20 for this whole box of tackle. And I know that was a great deal, but I had since pieced out the whole box and sold literally hundreds of dollars in these lures. My point here is lures are highly collectible. The brands, the materials they're made out of, the condition. There are people out there, there are Facebook groups, there are collectors that there are trade shows that all have to do nothing with fishing lures. So when you see fishing lures, particularly ones that look old and vintage, you might want to get familiar with the look and feel of those are so you don't bypass them. because you can pick them up really cheap often at estate sales and garage sales like I did. And I just don't want people missing out on fishing lures because they don't fish or don't look at the sporting goods stuff. There's money to be made in the resale market when it comes to fishing lures and supplies. The next item I have are this vintage, 4 of them, 1970s AFX Aurora HO scale slot cars. And this is always interesting. I've gone in several of these estate sales and saw these slot car sets. And usually you'll see like a big box and there's a lot of track in there. And they may have it, $20, $30 or something like that. It would behoove you to always look in the box and see if you can find these slot cars. These cars are super collectible. They're very sought after, and they're often down in the bottom of the box where you can't see them, or they might even be mixed in a toy box with other toy cars and stuff. You can flip them over. There's a little tab that fits in a slot with probably a couple copper wires on it, some braided copper on them. But slot cars, highly collectible. The older, more vintage, the better condition, the more money. As you can see, these 4 that I found, along with the Hop Up kit, I sold for $110. I think I paid $20 for this particular race set that had these cars down in the box. And I actually didn't do anything with the slot track itself, there was probably 30 pieces of that. I think I just boxed it up and gave it to Goodwill because it was odd shaped and I didn't want to ship it. But also the money was in the cars. And I was very happy to find those, and I'm always on the lookout for them. So keep an eye out for them. These sell really great. This is probably no surprise. The Lord of the Rings box set. This is a second edition from '78. I find these books, these Lord of the Ring books, probably once a month I'll run across a set like this or a variation of it. I was really happy to find this set because I'd found another one earlier last year that didn't have the box cover. So, which is the one that the books fit inside of. They still sell, which is great. But when I find it that has the holder for the books, it actually sells even better. I'm always on the lookout for these. I actually got to this sale late. I think if they were in a bookshelf, I probably wouldn't have had an opportunity to get them. I think I found them sitting in the garage, which was strange. Maybe someone dropped them off there. But I was happy to pick them up. And as you can see, I sold them for $75 plus shipping. So always be on the lookout for Lord of the Rings box sets. Here's just one more municipality plate. Again, I want to continue to stress, this is from 1979 in Wilson. Another one, $54.99. As you can tell, I really like picking these up. They're easy to ship. They're easy to pick. I find them in garages. I've gone and seen stacks of plates. People just bypass them because they don't want common new date license plates from cars. But I find these mixed in there and always pick them up. They're a BOLO. I know they are in my area, so hopefully they are in yours too. The municipality plates are a great item to source. I'm not a toy collector by any stretch of the imaginations, but I do pick up toys. Tootsie Toys, die-cast stuff that I know is old. I learned a lot actually by watching American Pickers about particular toy brands and the era that actually bring more money. I walked in, I found this piece and a couple others. I took a quick Google shot of it. I saw the price range it was going for. It looked complete. I was happy to pick it up. I think I've only paid a few dollars for each piece. So to sell it for $74.99, this hydraulic lift diecast toy from JLG was a great find and a great sell. It sold very quickly. It was in very good condition, but always be on the lookout for nice vintage diecast. It sells really well. That does it for my 2025 year wrap up. Again, this wasn't all of my highest selling items, but it was the ones I thought would be interesting. I wanted to give people an idea of some stuff that I've got some great deals on, and maybe some items you never thought you'd pick up before, and encourage you to start looking for these items if you're out looking for stuff to thrift and resell. Thanks for watching. I appreciate if you like, subscribe, or leave a comment, and I'll catch you next time on the Eagle Eye Picker.